On the 30th of May 2019, Netflix released the first teaser trailer for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and the trailer is simply incredible. There's a lot in this trailer, so why not break it down? I will be going into some spoilers with J.M. Lee's books Shadows, Songs and Tides of the Dark Crystal, as well as some things with creation myths that do seem to connect with the show. So if you haven't read those books, and if this is a show that you want to go in fresh without any knowledge of the books, come back once the show is out and actually just see how I went with my predictions. Otherwise, let's dive in and try to break down the teaser trailer right now.
I'm not ready to go alone. All right? Alone then.
The first shot we see is Olgra's observatory, the home of Olgra. This is where she lives on Thra, as she studies the
suns, moons, stars, yes! The angle of eternity!
In the film The Dark Crystal, Jen has to go find her to retrieve the shard many years later.
Yes! Now that you have it, you don't know what to do with it, do you? No one told you that, did they? But Olgra knows!
The next shot is of Olgra trekking with her walking stick. In this timeline, Olgra usually stays at the observatory, so it's really interesting to make note that she's going out of her home. Where is she going to? My theory could be that Olgra is going to embark on her own journey into herself to commune with Thra and attempt to restore the covenants of Thra. This is an event that occurs every 9 years and was something that was mentioned in the Dark Crystal Creation Myths Volume 1. It could be either that or she's heading to the Valley of the Stones to meet with the Mystics. The next shot is of the Landstriders with a Gelfling on each one, and we do see a carriage, which we do see much later in the trailer, driven by the Chamberlain. To me, this seems to indicate that the Chamberlain has possibly captured a Gelfling, possibly Rian, Deet or Bria. We don't know, but that's just a possibility I think that could be within that shot. Though of course the next shot is of Rian, looking far at the Castle of the Crystal, and he seems to be holding a vial of sorts, which is the essence of his love interest Mira, as he witnessed her being drained of her essence from Skektek the scientist. This was mentioned in J.M. Lee's Shadows of the Dark Crystal, so there seems to be quite a bit of crossover between the books and the show, and I think that's one of the many examples, and there'll be many more later on. These spinning light creatures remind me of these from the Dark Crystal, and yes, they do look like sky dancers or dragonflies. Next we go inside what I believe to be the Caves of Grot, where there's lots of Gelflings, cultures of Gelflings, and there's one particular clan called the Groton Clan. They basically live in caves, and this is where we are introduced to Deet, who is one of the 3 main protagonists on the show. Seeing Gelflings flying is pretty damn awesome. I certainly hope we'll be seeing a lot more of that on the show, and we will be seeing a little bit of it in the trailer later. Deet's a very mysterious character. While she has been revealed as a Groton Gelfling, a Gelfling who lives in caves, she has green skin, which resembles the Groton Clan. Could Deet be a combination of the 2 clans? This is something I expect we'll learn more about Deet over the course of the show. Here, a tree is communicating with Deet directly. What's interesting is that the show will be the first time that the name of the planet, Thra, has been heard. Thra was never mentioned in the film, and was only referred by that name in the Dark Crystal novelization and the World of the Dark Crystal books. My theory on the darkening is essentially the veins from the Dark Crystal spreading throughout Thra, through trees, water, and animals. A flower, an extension of the tree, shows Deet visions, which would be dream fasting. In the film, dream fasting was used as a way for Gelflings to share memories of the past. In J.M. Lee's books, dream fasting can work with all living things, including animals, plants, and trees. So in this dream fasting, we see a lot of visions. So here we go, we'll break down all the shots. Number 1, Skekso the Emperor with his staff. Number 2, Deet with what might possibly be a musky eel creature, and behind her is a large beast. Number 3, we see Bria in shock as something's happening inside with papers flying everywhere. This could be her witnessing the death of her mother, the All Mordra by the hands of Skekzok, the Ritual Master, and Skekung, the Gartha Master. This was mentioned in Tides of the Dark Crystal. Number 4, Landstrider with purple eyes, who has become a darkened creature and possibly controlled by the Skeksis. Number 5, Olgra with her third eye. I believe she is actually using her third eye to communicate with other Gelflings. This was something she was able to do in Tides of the Dark Crystal, J.M. Lee's third book. Or maybe she's just doing some powerful magic voodoo, who knows. Number 6, Skektek experimenting with the Dark Crystal in a laboratory. Number 7, 2 Gelflings, Rian on the right, and on the left I presume is Mira, his love interest, who ends up getting her essence drained by the Skeksis. As I mentioned much earlier, that part of the story was told in Shadows of the Dark Crystal. Number 8, Gelflings flying. The area looks to be the Gelfling capital of Thra called Hurrah, a snowy-like atmosphere. Number 9, Silk Spitter Spider. Simply love it. Number 10, Skekmal the Hunter, using his sword to take down 2 Gelflings. These 2 Gelflings could potentially be Kylan's parents, whose parents died actually at the hands of Skekmal and was mentioned in Shadows of the Dark Crystal. Number 11, the Gelfling on the right reminds me of an old version of Jen that we've seen in concepts in Power of the Dark Crystal. I don't know if we're going to see parents of Jen and Kira, but could be interesting to see if it does happen. Number 12, Skekso the Emperor. Dream fasting ends. After that, we see the crystal being taken down, which is pretty awesome as it goes down to Skektek's laboratory. In the movie, only the beams from the reflector can go that far, so to see the crystal being up close is pretty cool. Lots of cute creatures in danger, and we see Breya holding onto a column for dear life. The observatory is just amazing and looks exactly the same as it did on the film. We see Olgra, who looks like she's meditating. She has a new look as her dress seems to resemble concept images of Olgra by Brian Froud that was featured in the World of the Dark Crystal. We see her open her eyes, and what's interesting is that she doesn't have the third eye. What's confusing is that she's in the observatory, which was built by Tek-T, one of the Urskeks, but it would be at the time frame that she would have got the third eye because of the result when the Urskeks first arrived at Thra. So could this be a young Olgra who has the ability to time travel? Hopefully we'll find out more about that on the show. Seeing Fizzgig is great. I love Fizzgig, and he seems to be sniffing a Gelfling's hand, probably trying to track down a certain Gelfling maybe. Behind Deet in this shot seems to be a mystic, as well as her podling companion called Hup. Bria and Rian are also there. I presume this is at the Valley of the Stones, and probably went to find the mystics to see if they'll help the Gelflings with the upcoming battle against the Skeksis. This is a throwback to the banquet scene from the Dark Crystal, which happens to be one of Jim Henson's favourite scenes to shoot, so I'm looking forward to seeing more Skeksis eating food and drinking. This shot is of the Chamberlain driving a carriage which was featured in Tides of the Dark Crystal. It is controlled by slug-like monsters called Armaligs, with what looks like to be several Drenchen Gelflings on board, presumably to get on the carriage and throw the Chamberlain off. Guess we'll find out if they succeed. Rian cuts a rope and swings upwards to exit through the roof. The columns in this image resembles the same columns from the houses of the old ones in the film The Dark Crystal. This is one of my favourite shots. Again, we see Landstrider with purple veins in the eyes. Quick shot of Rian and Mira with crystal spiders following them above, as they're trying to escape the Castle of the Crystal from the Skeksis. The Skeksis at the Crystal Chamber presumably to cheat death once more as an attempt for them to live as long as possible. Rian and Deet with what looks like a home in the background, which I believe to be the home of the librarian we saw recently on Empire magazine. This shot is of Skektek the scientist. We see what we presume a Gelfling being clamped and locked up in a chair with hands not by Skeksis. I believe these hands actually belong to the Makraks, minor creatures that live below Thra. They were featured in Creation Myths Volume 3, and their hands seem to match up. That's Skektek hands pulling down the lever, as we see the electricity static fly around the Dark Crystal. Then a drop of essence is dropped. This could be the first successful test that Skektek has done possibly, and the Gelfling in question could very well be Mira. That is the Chamberlain saying tell no one, and the voice is spot on. Also, the voice of Olgra by Donna Kimball did an incredible job as well, so I thought I just wanted to make mention of that. More quick shots of the castle in the laboratory. Shot of Rian looking to make a run out of the castle of the crystal, avoids the clutches of the Chamberlain, jumps, lands in the water, and is holding the vile essence. Shot of Deet being attacked by a crystal spider. Gelfling soldiers, they look like they're from the Groton Clan, but could be from another clan as well, so who knows. We see Sprighton soldier on the Landstrider, the podling Hup with very light bulbs. I kinda like this shot. Several Gelfling at a campfire site in the forest, which I originally thought could have been the Gelfling gathering, but I think they're just doing a group dream fasting. Then we see Skekmel the Hunter about to make his move. The last shot of the trailer ends with Rian with moving plants in the background. And that concludes the breakdown of everything in this trailer. Was there anything I missed in the trailer? What did you thought of the trailer? Post your comments below. Thanks everyone, and don't forget to check out our podcast, Trial by Stone.